The 2020 NASCAR Cup Series schedule has been revealed, and there are a lot of changes. How's it going, you guys? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Big exciting day for NASCAR fans. The 2020 schedule for next season has been revealed and there are a lot of significant date changes. No new tracks. Keep in mind that most contracts have NASCAR kind of locked down on that front until 2021. So 2020 they couldn't really bring any new tracks in or remove dates from other tracks. So they kind of just had to take the tracks we have now, take the schedule we have now and just mix it up a little bit. And they mixed it up a ton. So I'm going to go through a lot of the biggest changes and then we're going to look at the overall schedule and just highlight all the notable differences between the last few years and next year's Cup Series schedule. Because one thing I know for sure is that a lot of NASCAR fans for a little while now have been asking for changes to the schedule. More short tracks, tweak what's in the playoffs, change where we start the year, so on and so forth. And NASCAR, I think a lot of these changes are going to be pretty fan-friendly, but let's talk about them and I'll let you guys form your own opinions. Here are some of the biggest changes. Most notably, ISM Raceway is now going to be the championship finale. They didn't get rid of Homestead, but they did move it to a different place in the schedule. But that's right, ISM Raceway will now be where the championship 4 races run, where the champion is crowned. Makes sense to me. I don't know if ISM's necessarily a better racetrack than Homestead. I do like that they're going to start switching it a little bit now. I do think I'm one of those people that think it'd be cool if we kind of alternate where the championship race is every year. I don't know if that's what they're doing here, but they are changing it at least for next year. ISM, it's almost a short track. But since they renovated it, a couple of years ago, I haven't been there, but everything I've heard from fans and people who've attended races there say that the experience, the fan-friendly environment there is through the roof. So ISM being the championship finale race for NASCAR, I don't have a big issue with. I think it'll be interesting. I'm excited for it. Other big changes, as you can see up here, Daytona is now going to be the regular season finale. The second Daytona race, that is, the typical, 4th of July weekend one, that will now move to September and will be the regular season finale. Other things you see here, Pocono is going to host a doubleheader late in June 27th and 28th. There are going to be 2 Pocono races in the same weekend for the Cup Series. The Bristol night race will be moved to the playoffs. It'll be the cutoff race in the first round, and with Daytona moving to the champion or the regular season finale, Indianapolis is going to move to the July 4th weekend. It'll be run on July 5th in 2020. Other big changes, Martinsville, the first Martinsville race of the year, has been bumped a few weeks back to Mother's Day, but it will be run under the lights, a night race at Martinsville. And then Darlington has been bumped back a few weeks later as well, and will now be the playoff opener. So there you have it. Those are some of the biggest changes right there. Just general reaction to it. I love moving Darlington to the playoff opener. I love having Bristol as the cutoff race in the first round, the night race. The first round of the playoffs, as we'll see in a minute, now is Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol for the first 3 races of the playoffs. That's great. I love that. One of the more controversial things will be switching Indianapolis and Daytona. Indianapolis has been the regular season finale the last 2 years. It will now be moved to the 4th of July race weekend. Daytona, which for decades now has been that 4th of July race weekend event, will now be moved to the regular season cutoff, the last race before the playoffs. That's going to be a controversial change. Personally, I like putting Daytona at the end of the regular season, especially since it sounds like NASCAR is not going to change this win and you're in. If they're going to keep the win and you're in format for the regular season, make Daytona the last race of the season. Capitalize on that drama, capitalize on the hype around that event. Even when Daytona's been in July, one of the biggest storylines coming in has been, this is a lot of these small teams' last real chance to make the playoffs. Like, that's still been one of the biggest storylines, so I don't see the problem in moving it to the actual regular season cutoff and making that the headline, I don't have a problem with it in that sense. It's still going to be Daytona, still going to be under the lights, still going to be 400 miles, still going to be great action, but now there's just going to be even more on the line. Not sure how you can really not like that. Moving Indianapolis to July 4th might be also kind of controversial to some people. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I mean, Indianapolis isn't one of my favorite tracks. The fact that it's being run in the summer still means you're not going to be able to get that many people to go to it. Making it over a holiday like this might up the attendance a little bit, but I don't know. Indianapolis really just doesn't fit in the NASCAR schedule anywhere. So, like I said, since they're still under contract with Indy, they have to put it on the schedule somewhere. It sounds like this is honestly maybe one of their better bets. Martinsville is now going to have a night race in May. That I don't see how any fan can not be excited for that. Since they installed lights at that track, that's what a lot of fans have been clamoring for, a night race at Martinsville. It's going to be every NASCAR fan's dream, I think. That's going to be a great event. I'm excited. Great change there. The Pocono doubleheader, there's not a lot of details being given there. I watched the live stream that NASCAR did earlier this afternoon, and they really didn't give a lot of information about it. They just said, oh yeah, June 27th, 28th, we're going to have a Pocono race on one day and another Pocono race on the other day. They didn't say if they're still going to be 400 miles long, which personally I think I'd like them to shorten those races a little bit. They didn't say what time the races will be held. They didn't say how qualifying will work, whether or not you're going to have to use the same car in both races. Like, they didn't go into any of that detail, so that's something that we'll need to hear from NASCAR going forward before I really form an opinion on it. My biggest problem with the Pocono doubleheader is that it's the same week as Indianapolis. We do 2 Pocono races in one weekend, and then just a few days later we run Indianapolis. Now, if you know me, I don't like the flat 2.5 mile racetracks. The fact that we're going to have 3 of those races in about 8 days, it's a little much for me. I'm not a huge fan of that, but at least we're getting them all out of the way at once. Maybe I'll just go on vacation that week and maybe I'll miss a race. I don't know. Indianapolis has had pretty good races the last couple of years, actually, so maybe I'm being a little too cynical here, but I don't love that those happen to line up next to each other in the schedule, but that's just me. With that being said, though, let's really quick go ahead and look at the full schedule for next year, because there's some other little changes that I haven't really talked about yet. Firstly, you might notice there, the Daytona 500 will still open the season in February, but then, rather than go to Atlanta the next week, we're going to jump straight into the West Coast swing of Las Vegas, Fontana, Phoenix, and then Atlanta has now been bumped to the 5th race of the season. And then you can see right after Atlanta, that's where Homestead, Miami has found its new date. It's no longer going to be the finale, it's going to be run in March. I like moving the West Coast swing up, I think that's a good idea. My only problem now is that they have Atlanta, Homestead, and then Texas, 3 mile and a halfs, one after the other, all in a row, early in the season. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, Atlanta and Homestead are pretty good mile and a halfs. Texas is kind of broken right now, but 3 straight mile and a halfs I'm a little iffy on. But hey, moving Homestead, Miami to March means it's going to land right in a lot of people's spring breaks. Might get quite a big spring break Miami crowd to that race. Just throwing that out there. Not sure, but just throwing that out there. After Texas, still in its usual spot, Bristol, Richmond, Talladega, Dover, not a lot of notable changes there, kind of all in the same area of the schedule. Martinsville, that's where its first race is now. It's a night race, as we talked about. And then they go straight into the All-Star race, which is still going to be at Charlotte, and the Coke 600 immediately after. From there, you go to Kansas, Michigan, Sonoma, Chicagoland. Not too many notable changes there, all still kind of in the summer. Sonoma was rumored to possibly jump up to an earlier spot in the schedule, but at the end of the day, it looks like they kept it still kind of in June. Then you got the Pocono doubleheader with Indianapolis, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Michigan. I don't know, kind of still that summer lull that I've never been a huge fan of, but not a lot of notable changes there. Watkins Glen, Dover, again, not too many big changes there. And then the regular season finale is Daytona, the Coke Zero 400. That I am very excited about. I think that's going to be really fun. Now let's look at their new playoff schedule, because I talked about how that first round is going to be awesome. Let's look at the rest of it. First round, Darlington, Richmond, Bristol, going to be outstanding. 2 short tracks and one of NASCAR's oldest greats in that round. That's going to be a great way to start the playoffs. Really going to get the ball rolling. Going to get a lot of people excited about the championship battle down the stretch. Las Vegas still keeps a playoff date, but now it's the first race of round 2. Las Vegas, then Talladega, then Charlotte. Still, according to Bob Parkers, will still be the Roval as far as we know. So that'll be fun. A road course and a super speedway. And then the round of 8 has 2 mile and a halfs, which is what it is. Kansas and Texas. But then we wrap up the second to last race before the championship, the final race of the third round. Martinsville, that second date, going to be great to end on a short track, and oh man, the bumpers are going to come out to see if they can get to the Championship 4. And then you see there, of course, the Championship 4 at Phoenix, at ISM Raceway. I don't know. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about this schedule. I've already kind of given my thoughts in a nutshell. Not a huge fan of the Pocono, Indianapolis stretch in the middle of the season. Not a huge fan either of the 3 mile and a halfs in a row early in the schedule. I'd like to spread those out a little bit more. But other than that, moving Daytona to the end of the regular season, moving the West Coast swing up a week, making Martinsville a night race, making ISM the finale. I like all these changes. I like probably 80% of the changes NASCAR's put in place for next year. But I'd be curious to know what you guys think. NASCAR seems to be listening to its fans. They're doing as much as they possibly can with what little leeway they have, given their current contract situation. But 2021, that could be the year that just everything goes crazy. The build-up to today with all the rumors, which many of them turned out to be true, and all the hype, all the discussion, if you think this was crazy, I feel like next year's, when they announce the 2021 schedule, people are going to be just like foaming at the mouth excited about that one. We'll see though, time will tell. We got a year at least until they start talking about 2021, so we'll just go forward with 2019. Still got most of this year left to go before we even talk about 2020, but cool to see this new schedule made public. Good to see that. I think NASCAR's taken a lot of fan input into consideration, and I think most of these changes, like I said, I think most of these changes are for the better. But of course, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you excited about 2020 schedule? Are there certain dates you wish they had switched or put in different places? Let me know. I'd be curious to read all your comments. As always, remember you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Those links are down below. You can get yourself an Out of the Groove t-shirt as well if you want to support me and support the show. You can check that out down by the description also. And then of course, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Shout out Michael Harrison at GWizOfTheStars, SelfishGifts.com, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Tim Shingen, Jason Arlong, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, Adam Lean, and the rest of these amazing Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for helping support me and support this show. I'll be at Texas Motor Speedway this next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just in a couple days. I'll be heading out there. So if you see me at the track this weekend, say hi. I'm excited. A lot of fun things are going to be going on, and a lot of this due to the support I get from you guys on Patreon. So thank you so much. I can't wait to share the experience with you guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you missed any of my IndyCar videos from the last couple days, I was at Circuit of the Americas this last weekend. It was my first ever IndyCar race. Really cool to see. If you want to check out any of my experience, you can look back the last couple days on this channel. I've uploaded some IndyCar videos, but we're back at it with NASCAR from here going forward. Gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to share a lot more with you guys in the coming weeks, and hopefully you guys are along for the ride. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you guys again very, very soon.